Welcome into the live stream here from McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler.
What it is, sir?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I apologize. I got to apologize to you. I got to apologize to all the people. I really fucked Scoops up there. Technological. I didn't know you had started the clock. We had a little Twitter thing, and I was like, I'll just reset it. It'd be good to go. I didn't realize it was going to dupe videos. So if you were on one, it had to come to the other. That one was on your boy.
Yeah, ain't a big deal.
Yeah, but anything that involves technology with me and you makes us immediately go, oh, yeah. makes us anxious.
I just had to scrap the out one and do a new one. I didn't have it copied and pasted like I normally do.
There you go.
No big deal.
How we doing today?
Good. It's Monday. It's
a Mac 10 Monday.
Friday was the finish line for me. Year 17. Covering Ole Miss.
Dude, that's a long
I know
time.
there's a long time. I never would have believed 17 years. I would have bet 3 tops when I started.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, I took that job
It's like coaching years.
I started in March of 2008. Almost left in May of 2008.
Dang.
That's
quick. That would have been quick.
It would have been quick. And then had an opportunity pop up that next fall that I would have, had I still been in Mobile, I would have taken. That would have completely dramatically changed our lives. We would have lived in a completely different part of the country and the whole deal. Who knows how life would have played
It'd be
out
different.
Yeah.
It'd been different. We wouldn't have had the Scoops and Cisco show.
That's true. I don't know how well my political beliefs would have passed in that part of the country either. It probably would not have gone well.
But
hey, I
could have just be doing right now.
I could have just asked for a pardon.
You'd been coaching up the 4-4, covering the 4-4 defense and the pick 6 play. You'd be right about that.
Or just gotten a full pardon for any crimes that I may or may not have committed over the last 10 years.
I bet AJ's over there listening. I bet AJ was all fired up about the pardon.
I don't know.
But look, you knew it was going to happen. I mean, nobody's shocked.
I just thought the 2014 date was just, I'm sure it was coincidental.
I know, but
I'm sure that had nothing to do with the year that he started working on the board of directors at Burisma. Total coincidence right there.
Yeah. You would have pardoned your kid too, though.
Yeah, I would have.
And told everybody to kiss your ass.
I just would like to think that by the time my kid was in his 50s, we would have gotten over the severe cocaine habit.
You gotten over a little bit.
I think we would have maybe worked our way out of the adolescent years by, I don't know, your mid 50s.
I love it. All right, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Welcome into episode 240 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Monday, December the 2nd. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday weekend. We're back with you, brought to you, as always, by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Scoops, I'm rolling with the Rainstorm Valencia Orange. Get a little vitamin C, get your mind right, get you feeling a little better. Everybody's got a little crud going on. Hey, nothing like a little Valencia Orange. I mean, this stuff right here, this is not, I'll make sure that people understand this. This is not proven by the FDA, but allegedly this cures pretty much any sickness ever. Just one can of Valencia Orange.
That's what I've heard.
Neal, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping, and it's going to be hot today. Remind everybody, you know what today is? It's Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday is here today. Only you can save thousands online and over 350 new and used vehicles. It's the final day for current 0% APR offers on new Chevys or 1.9% APR on certified used trucks. Don't miss it. Call our good friends at Cooper Chevrolet or go to cooperchevrolet.com. Or call our friends at Cooper Chevrolet at area code 256-236-4481. Neal, this episode is also brought to you by our good friends at PTG Outdoors. I mean, what did I just say? That I'd said something that got us a strike on TikTok just then. I have no idea what I said, but Anyway, I'm talking about reading ads. Got a strike on TikTok.
Really?
I did. I got a strike on TikTok. I'll figure it out when I get done with this. Brought to you by our good friends at PTG Outdoors. They are, you know what it was. Brought to you by our good
You think it was
friends.
our discussion about
100%.
Oh, because I said the word.
100%. You said the word. They got us.
A word that begins with C.
Yes.
And ends with ain.
Yes. Yeah. Don't say it again.
I won't.
I got to get us clear of the strikes first. All right, good friends at PTG Outdoors. They are a Camus boats dealer. We have both fresh and saltwater boats. They sell and service Mercury outboards. They do custom marine electronic installations with Garmin, Humminbird, and Lowrance products. You can get all of your fishing needs and custom golf cart retrofits where they replace all of the batteries with a single lithium battery. Located right there in Grenada, Mississippi, you can also go to the online store at ptgoutdoors.com or call 662-459-9311. Can I get a little Tiffany music? We're going to announce the winner of the PTG Outdoors giveaway. Let me find my guy right here. The winner for November. I can't believe I'm reading this too. This is going to be great. This is I actually know the winner. The winner of the November giveaway of the Garmin Tread. I did not draw this. Brandon at PTG Outdoors drew this. The winner of the Garmin Tread Power Sport GPS with Ride Radio is, and this person went, I'm going to keep doing my deal or make a deal or no deal thing where I keep extending it. This person bought something from PTGOutdoors.com and entered the MPW Digital promo code when they purchased it. Brandon drew their name out of a random drawing, and they win a Garmin Tread Power Sport GPS with Ride Radio. AJ, the winner is Drew McGehee.
AJ, you've muted yourself, by the way.
You're muted, AJ.
I'm sorry. I had to stay muted because I was wondering when the hell we were going to say this damn name.
Same.
All right. Real quick. Hey, if you're on TikTok, I am going to end the live and start it back over again because we got a strike. I got 2 strikes, actually.
Why?
We know. I don't know what the second one's for, but I know what the first one's for. So I'm going, if we get another one, we get suspended. So I'm going to end it and then restart it so it recalibrates. All right. I'm going to be back in 10 seconds. All right. How about that?
TikTok's a little sensitive these days.
Yeah.
Probably been a rough month.
I love that hat. Where'd you get that hat from?
I got it at the in Kansas City at the US. Who we play? US Uruguay Copa game. This summer.
It said regulated goods. It's restrictions.
Regulated goods.
That's what it said. It's talking about
the
other. All right, that was great.
Was it that or talking about the FDA and rain?
Oh, maybe
got a strike.
Oh, it could have been that.
Maybe that too. Yeah,
could have been that.
Probably could. Yeah, no sense of humor, man. Where's the sense of humor on the planet Earth?
Not there.
Not there.
No,
it's not where the sense of humor is.
No, there's not a lot of humor in their world in the last 4 weeks. It's been a tough go.
Yeah, been a tough go. AJ, while I'm getting this TikToker back, did we have a good turkey day? What did we do? What did we eat? What was your favorite dish? We're gonna put a bow on this turkey day.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like turkey. What? It's just dry as shit a lot of times. But no, I think my brother made a turkey. It actually wasn't bad, but I'm more of like the honey glazed ham. I go that route. Catherine made some homemade mac and cheese. We had sweet potato casserole.
Did she do the mac and cheese that went viral last week? It was like Teeny's macaroni and cheese or something. Carson, my son, found a recipe that was going viral on TikTok, and we did it. And it turns out a whole bunch of people did it. It was good. It was.
Was it from a like Southern black woman?
Maybe so.
That's the one she made. I don't know.
It had like 4 different kinds of cheeses that you had to grate, and you made the bechamel sauce basically.
Yeah, you had to heat it up in a pan.
Yeah,
and melt it and all that. Yeah,
and then you finished it with the broil at the end.
Yep.
We did the same one.
Interesting.
It was good.
It was good.
It was good.
All right, let's get this bad boy cranked up. All right, I can't wait to get the opinions on this one. Apparently, over the weekend, there was a lot of, I guess it's not really, I mean, it's happened before, but I know what started it is somebody saw it on, somebody played in the later games and they saw the people doing it. But the flag planting that occurred in all these games and these rivalry games on the field really we had the Ohio State, we had Florida State, we had North Carolina State, we had somebody else. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, Arizona State, Arizona.
State,
you
Arizona.
had BYU and somebody.
No, BYU won.
ULM and ULL. ULL tried to plant their flag in the middle of Malone Stadium.
I did not see that.
ULL will not be playing football for a while. They are out of players. We destroyed them.
Did they really do that? I don't know. I didn't see it.
It's my story. It's my story.
Your story. Sticking to it.
You don't try to plant your flag at Malone Stadium. No, sir. Everybody knows that.
Where did BYU play?
They played at home.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure where they fought in the end zone.
Oh, they fought, but they didn't plant a flag.
No, yeah, but there was a bunch of fights. I thought.
Who did BYU play?
BYU played. I bet on it. They were 12.5. Oh, Houston.
Houston must have talked about all their wives.
I don't know. I don't know, but I had a parlay going, and I had BYU minus 12.5 as the last part of that parlay, and they won by 12, and they got a turnover. They had to go for 2 to make it 14. They didn't get it. And I was just pissed. And then they get a fumble on the very first play, and instead of kicking the field goal on 4th and 3, they went for it to win the game. And I could have won that parlay like 8 different ways. And yeah, I was not very happy. That was a bad beat, as they like to say.
I wonder if 2 schools can be any more different than the University of Houston and BYU. I mean, when those 2 teams get together, it's like we have nothing in common at all. Nothing.
No, they didn't. They don't have anything in common.
And then Florida was a good one too.
Yeah, it
Norvell
was.
grabbing the flag at the end, throwing it like that was pretty sweet.
I got 2 things on this. One is, all right, it's very classless to do that. One, okay, I have no problem. I just want to say this. This is probably not going to be a popular take. I have absolutely no problem with if somebody tries to plant a flag in your home stadium for dealing with it. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Like none. Let me tell you, I got some life. Can we go ahead and knock out life advice? I got some life advice for the Michigan. Did you see the Michigan player, his interview after the game?
Life advice presented by Cole Walters, State Farm Insurance. Cole licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole state of Georgia. Contact Cole at 706-525-7850. You can also find him online at colewaltersinsurance.com.
So my life advice is like the Michigan player. They got interviewed after the game. Some of them got pepper sprayed, which was hilarious. But they got pepper sprayed, and he was like, "Man, they just need to learn how to lose." Life advice: you should never learn how to lose. That's your life advice for the day. Don't ever learn how to lose. No, losing sucks. I hate losing more than I love winning. Losing sucks. Don't ever learn how to be a loser. Don't ever do that. That's bad advice on the Michigan player. No, Ohio State, you don't need to learn how to lose. You just need to learn how to keep winning. Don't ever learn how to lose. But he goes on this statement, they need to learn how to lose. Fuck that. No, it pissed me off. But if you plant your flag on a field, I have no problem with the repercussions at all. I have zero problems with any repercussion that occurs during that by anybody. And look, and I'll say this too, it's not like the coaches told them to do it. But it is a classless move. Don't do that. That's a fuck around and find out moment if there's ever been one. That's stupid. There's nothing. It's not Iwo Jima, okay? You know what I'm saying? It's not. I mean, we didn't go conquer some land, okay? Right. It's a football game, and they would be very smart to put some kind of policy to where they remove all flags at the end of the fourth quarter, and it only happens in rivalry games and all that stuff. And I know Baker Mayfield did it at Ohio State several years ago when he was playing at Oklahoma.
And how do you plant a flag into artificial turf anyway?
You don't.
It won't even go in.
Yeah,
that's what she said. Sorry.
I mean, you're already today. I mean, we're like, yeah, but don't accept life advice. Don't learn how to be a loser. We don't do participation trophies and all that shit. We don't do all that. All right. Anything else? I didn't ask you, AJ. What was your take on that?
I'm laughing at AJ laughing at me now.
AJ,
we're off the rails.
We just started.
Oh shit, that was great. I got goddamn tears coming out. Shit, I gotta get composed here. Listen, I mean, I love it because it's part of a rivalry game. But listen, if you do some shit like that, just be ready for the consequences. Like somebody gets hit with a two-piece in the chin or a helmet, like don't go bitching and complaining. So
yeah,
I mean, it makes it interesting. I think it brings a little bit of excitement to a season that has kind of been, I feel like, just among all of college football, like a down year. Just seems like, damn, you really don't know what these teams are about. When you think a team's good, all of a sudden they get demolished by somebody else. Like, hell, at least we made it interesting. The fights after the game, that Michigan-Ohio State was awesome. I feel bad for the cops. If I'm those cops, any of those precincts, putting security out there, I'll never do security ever again. They got fined like $250,000 for pepper spraying players. Like you're asking the cops to come out there and break them up and everything, and then hell, they can't. They get one side stopped, and then the other side starts going at it, and they move areas. Like, what the hell do you want them to do? So now you're going to fine them. I heard it was like $250,000, something like that. But hell, I just wouldn't do security anymore. Hell, let them brawl it out and see who wins, and then last man standing, we'll take the winner from that as well.
Yeah, that was interesting.
By the way, I said this a week ago about Alabama. I know we're going to get to it in a little bit, but I'm just going to say I didn't see all of Ohio State, Michigan, but I saw a lot of Ohio State, Michigan. That should be a disqualifying loss.
Ohio State looked awful.
That should eliminate them.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Your whole season's hinging right there. You're playing, you know what's at stake, and you look like that against Michigan in a game where you know they're going to bring it. That's a disqualifying loss. That's the problem with – we're going to talk playoffs and stuff, and I'm messing up the script here. But there aren't – I don't know what the committee's going to do tomorrow. I actually, for the first time in my entire life, feel sorry for the committee because there are no easy answers. But, like, someone's going to have to explain to me why certain losses are just awful for certain teams and Ohio State gets free passes. I mean, we had an honest conversation about Indiana a week ago because they looked like just raw hell against Ohio State. Then the same Ohio State team looks terrible against Michigan at home. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, Ohio State's going to drop like one spot. It's like, really? What? I mean, I'm kind of confused by why Ohio State gets, of all the teams, that's the team that gets the free pass.
Who said they're getting a free pass?
Well, I mean, just all the rankings, all the people, no one even talks about, okay, well, what is a 2-loss Ohio State? Because I'm looking at 2-loss Ohio State right now. I'm like, what's your big win? You beat Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
You now have a really bad loss on your resume. Why is Ohio State a free march into the college football playoff?
So I have a take on this. It kind of relates to everything we're talking about, but somebody in the chat said, I don't think it's a down year. I think it's the playing field was a little more leveled out than people thought. Or they meant to say thought. But I don't think that's the case. I think you see a bunch of teams with paid individuals, and then you see a bunch of teams that are actual teams that in the past you've seen programs build teams and guys that love each other, that play as a team, that have been there for a couple of years, that got recruited in together, and they've been a part of the grind and process all along step by step. Right. And then you see teams that have a label of an Ohio State or Sometimes probably Alabama, but I mean, just other big programs that have been great teams in the past. And now they're paid individuals that are trying to come together as a team. And it's not working because they're not there long enough. The season flies by. We've been through it. Neal, you've covered it for years. You know how fast the season goes by. Siskey's been a part of it. Like, unless you have guys there, a part of your program for multiple years, think if you had to build a championship team and roster off of 1 year. Like, you see it in every level of sports. The Yankees have tried to do it for years, buy big free agents and have them on 1-year contracts. You've seen basketball teams doing it and not work out. And now you're seeing it in college because now this is the first true year that you've ever had college football become a professional style sport. So the fact that everybody can be a free agent, and it's worse than the NFL because NFL, you're on contracts. Most of your team is not on 1-year contracts. Everybody in college is on a 1-year contract now. Like, it's the way it is. So now kids, bounce from team to team each year. Guess what? You don't have enough time to build that team chemistry and build a true team because they haven't been a part of the grind when it was a shit program or when you had tough times and now you're fighting through it and you're coming out on the back end. Like, you don't have that anymore in college. So I don't think it's more of a level playing field because you can't say that Alabama has the same roster of talent that Vanderbilt has. You can't tell me that. You'll never convince me that. It's not even close to the same type of athletes. But guess what? Vanderbilt kids stayed there. They didn't have the NIL process. They didn't have a bunch of other programs coming to steal Vanderbilt kids, right, and pay them to come to their school. Vanderbilt recruited those kids. Coach Lee built that program and had a standard and made those kids play to that standard. Now you have a team that has bought recruits and has kids from the transfer portal. It's totally different. That's why it seems more level from a playing standpoint, but it's not.
I agree with that completely.
So we'll go ahead and I'll talk about what I was going to talk about here anyway. So to AJ's point, if you look at teams, a lot of teams that are, we'll use Ole Miss for an example here. Ole Miss won 9. They went 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
They won 9 games by double digits. All 3 of their losses were 1-score games. I think when you play teams, in times of adversity, in times when that's where that culture starts bleeding through. And it's in times of adversity when things are tight, when things are close. I think that's where you see it. I'm not saying Ole Miss has a bad culture team at all. I'm just saying that you look at a bunch of hired mercenaries, and I'm not using Ole Miss is not the only team. Look at Alabama's the same way. There's a lot of when things get tight, and I think the same thing with Ohio State. So the point I was going to make is you look at something I was wrong about, and I probably underestimated going down the stretch. I was looking for teams to really play. Teams are backs against the wall to come out and play. Teams had the big moment ready to come out and play. Instead, you saw the other way around. Ohio State, and we'll go ahead and talk about this game since we're here. Any way you look at it, Ohio State played tight as hell. And you see teams that are playing tight, man. And it's kind of weird. Like, instead of coming out and letting it fly, you see a lot of teams this year, for whatever reason, they're up against it and they're ready to go and they play tight. Ole Miss, I thought Ole Miss played really tight on the road against Florida last week.
Yeah, they did, for sure.
Like, you're in these moments.
Alabama played tight
against Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. You see these teams, for whatever reason, that are playing really tight.
Because the moment gets big.
But it doesn't fit, though. You know what I mean? As long as they have enough talent to blow everybody out. But that's why you're seeing, I'm going back to AJ's point, I think that's why you're seeing a roller coaster this year. You're seeing teams and when Alabama's playing really good, they can beat anybody. When Ole Miss is playing really good, they can beat anybody. But they can also lose to anybody. It's a weird deal. And you're sitting here and you look at,
I do think that's where the person in the thread definitely has a point. There is more. It's not NFL style parity where literally anyone can beat anyone on a given Sunday, but there is more parity. Teams I mean, Vanderbilt's a pretty good example. They went out, they needed a quarterback, they went out and got one. Indiana added half the James Madison roster, to their team and improved. I mean, you can improve rapidly, but
there's this fine line, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there is something about, to AJ's point, like Alabama in the past, not that long ago, played a whole lot of big games, and it never felt like Alabama folded. It never felt like the moment was too big. Ever. Sometimes they lost because another team played great or whatever happened, but it never felt like, boy, Alabama kind of choked today. And that happened this year. And, that happened with a lot of teams. And I think that's just – I agree with AJ. I think there is a palpable lack of culture across the board to the point that maybe even that levels things out. I mean, I watched a handful of games on Saturday, and, I mean, it was bizarre to watch teams just sort of go through the motions. Oklahoma, for example, just went through the motions at LSU. It was like, we got our big win last week. We're done. Nobody really cared. You sort of saw that in a lot of different games. I mean, you saw a handful of games that like lived up to the billing because both teams really wanted it and played great. Georgia Tech, Clemson, South Carolina, some of those kind of games. Man, you saw some games where some teams were kind of going through the motions. It was pretty flat. Probably a preview of what's to come in bowl season. But I think that's definitely culture.
Yeah. All right, and before we get the games, Black Sunday / Monday, we'll just talk about the Power 5 jobs. And I got to bring up Matt Eberflus and the Bears real quick while we're talking about this. But UNC has fired Mac Brown. Sad to see that happen. Mac's a legend.
Do you buy the John Summerall stuff there?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay. I'll just say there's a lot of speculation that John Summerall, who's coaching Tulane against Army on Saturday, is the next coach at North Carolina. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's definitely out there in the sphere. Yeah, probably something he's going to have to end up addressing with his team because it doesn't seem to be losing any steam.
Is that a job you want?
I got a hot take for you here in just a second. All right.
What's interesting about North Carolina is that when you take that job, wouldn't you love to know, okay, I know where I am today. I know that the Big Ten wants me. I know the SEC wants me. Are we going to one of those leagues? Where are we with where is the sport with rev share? How much will you have to have on top of rev share? The question I would have if I were John or anyone else who's contemplating an offer from North Carolina would be, all right, I know what I am on January 1, 2025. What am I on January 1, 2027? I'd love to know that. Like if
it's still a basketball school, and do they lead the ACC? I mean, based off of that, like the ACC still controls the basketball side of things.
I think
usually
the consensus is that North Carolina will absolutely leave the ACC. Now, will it be before the grant of rights expires in 2034, 2035? That's a debate, but 10 years from now, they're not going to. The ACC is probably going to cease to exist as a conference, and if they can't close the gap financially between what the SEC and the Big Ten are today and what they are today.
Which is why I'm going to get you to my hot take in just a second. But with Mac Brown, they wanted him to step down Friday before the game. Good for Mac, coaching the game, not quitting. That was bad. I don't like the way they did him. I mean, he single-handedly brought that program back from existence, not once but twice. He deserved better than that. The way it ended, as I go back.
His interview was great.
He's awesome. Mac Brown,
where he said, God gave me a couple signs, and then after that fight, that was the final sign of like, all right, it's my time to go.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, but he deserved to do it on his time. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all I always say is like I always tell coaches about when you go back, not coaching at your alma mater and all that stuff, because they will never love you as much as you love them. That's always, and so always keep that in mind, fans, when coaches leave you instead of you firing them. Stuff like that happens. All right, West Virginia moved on from Neal Brown. Neal Brown's going to end up getting a job. Neal Brown will get another job. He'll be a head coach this next year. that was kind of a mutual thing, but he's got some things going, maybe a group of 5 level, whatever, but he'll be a head coach. Neal Brown's a good coach, just did not work out there. Surprising move, surprising, not surprising. Gus Malzahn is leaving Central Florida to go be the offensive coordinator at Florida State.
How much money did they offer him for that?
Well, I think it was a mutual way to – I think it was a mutual thing. So
really?
We'll see. Yeah, I think it was a mutual thing. They lost – I guess they had lost, 8 of their last 9 or something like that?
Yeah, they went 4-8.
They lost 8 of the last 9 or something. They were on a streak, but I think it was a mutual thing. And then Purdue, obviously, moves on from Ron Walters, paid him $9 million, the former Illinois defensive coordinator. They were struggling.
I'll be curious to see how attractive the UCF job is in this market. Big 12 job, got the Orlando market, but Florida looks like they got it going. You still got a lot of stuff that you're battling when you're there. It's not like you're going to draw a big circle around Orlando and go, all right, this is our territory, bitches. It doesn't really work that way at UCF, but I'll be interested to see how attractive that job is to coaches.
All right, there's 4 Power 4 jobs open: UNC, West Virginia, Central Florida, and Purdue. Do you know which one I think is the best job?
I think Central Florida.
Purdue.
Tyler.
Purdue.
Don't nobody want to go live up there.
Because that's what I expect everybody to go Tyler. This thing called revenue sharing, they're going to have, of all those jobs, they're going to have probably double the amount of money to pay players than those other schools because of revenue sharing. 2 of them are in the Big 12, one's in the ACC. They're in the Big 10. Purdue's in the Big 10. Their revenue sharing money is going to be about double what those other schools are. And so, and this is why. You got double the amount of money to go pay players. Purdue's got a very low standard. Dude, you go buy a shit ton of players because they haven't been. You go buy a shit ton of players. You go win 6 games there next year, they will build you a statue. They will build you a statue. UNC, they want to win. They want to win now. Central Florida, they want to win. They want to win now. West Virginia, they want to win. They want to win now. Expectations. I'll take the job that has no expectations and twice the budget.
Yeah, but I would think Central Florida's got to be the least amount of expectations, right?
No, they want to win, boss. They are.
Yeah, but listen, they got some people living in a fairy tale world. Then
don't disagree, but this is the same team that thought they were the national champions a few years ago too.
Yeah.
I mean, they have high expectations, but that's what I'm saying is Purdue's got twice the money with low expectations. You go buy you some players, go win 6 games.
You know what they say about perceptions and realities. Whatever the local perception is, might as well be the reality.
Yeah. It's true. All right, let's move on to these games. All right, we'll go by clock order. We talked about the Michigan, and we'll briefly snag that one in a second. Georgia Tech, Neal's favorite, the 8 overtime game between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Somebody said in the Cooper Chevrolet chat a minute ago, and I agree with them. Georgia played tight as well. They played tight for a majority of it. You got to give.
I don't know, man. Kinda.
No, they played tight.
Kinda. Georgia Tech is a physical
Georgia Tech played
team.
well, but I'm just saying Georgia
physical.
played tight.
Georgia Tech played a brand of football that I don't know that teams see a whole lot anymore. They just said, we are going to line up and hit you all night. We can't compete with you on the edges, so we're going to play with you in the middle. We can't open this thing up and turn it into some wide open scoring attack. We're just going to hit you. And they did.
They deserved to win the game.
I thought they had a great plan. I thought they executed it really well. You talk about culture, and I don't know anything about Georgia Tech's team other than Haynes King and some stuff like that, but that team feels like a team. I understood why Brent Key was as emotionally as he was afterwards. That team feels like one of those teams that at the end of the year, you look at it and you go, you know what, guys? I know we didn't win a championship, but we did the next very best thing. We found our ceiling. That probably was about as good as that team could play. And they did it. They made Georgia go beat them and still almost won the game. And
they had their chances.
So many chances. And then I'm not even going to do the overtime thing. Y'all know how I feel about it.
I know somebody asked me if I was going to be hard on Brent Key for not knowing the overtime rules or something like that. It's like, no, one, I like Brent Key a lot. I think what he's done at Georgia Tech's amazing. Two is, look, should they have gone from? I mean, if it's hindsight's 2020. Should they have gone for two in the first one? Sure, but if they had won the game, we wouldn't be talking about it. All right. But look, I thought they, like Neal said, I thought they out-physicaled them, which was unusual. I didn't see that one coming, but they did. They out-physicaled them. They played hard. Haynes King played like lights out. And then the 8 overtime deal. I mean, dude, that was wild. Nobody wanted to win the game. It was like for about the first 5 overtimes, they forgot how to run the football, and then somebody decided to do it a couple times, and that's how they ended up scoring and winning this.
Kirby really coached the overtime well. You could tell the way they used their timeout before Georgia Tech would line up, then use the timeout. They had Georgia Tech thinking about the 2-point plays, but
yeah, dude. You can't have that many 2-point plays on a call sheet.
Once you turn basketball into a free throw shooting competition at the end, I mean, guys start thinking about the free throw line. I mean, that game deserved a different type of ending than, hey, let's go do alternating 2-point plays and walk the field and then do it again and then walk the field and do it again. That's ridiculous. I can't be the only person who watches this and goes, this is dumb.
You're not. I will say this. No, you're not. You're not the only person. I just don't know of a good solution. I think they're all dumb.
You play football.
That's what I'm saying.
You
but
solve
even
a football
then,
game by playing football.
I'm with you, but even then, I mean, it can't make everybody happy no matter what you come up with.
It's not about making everybody happy. I'm about trying to do the sport where if you say, okay, we are not going to have a tie, okay, then play more football. Play more football.
Okay.
Play 15 more minutes. Set a clock. And at the end of 15 minutes, do what the NFL does. Do something that includes actual football. Don't do, okay, well, let's do 2-point plays. Because that never happens in the course of a game. Nobody ever goes, hey, you know what, we're gonna go for 2. All right, well, you need to score first. No. We're just going to go for 2. I mean, yeah, you can go for 2, but to go for 2, you got to score a touchdown in football. That's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you suddenly go, all right, well, we're just going to make this about 2-point plays. Why not 4-yard plays? Why not 7-yard plays? I mean, it's dumb. It's just stupid. It doesn't, it's not, you're solving football, you're settling a football game and declaring a winner based on something that literally can't happen during regulation. At least
just
soccer.
Coin toss, flip, kick it off, and each team get a possession.
Each team gets a possession, and after both teams get a possession, make it sudden death. Whatever you want to do. At least that works. But include punting, include kickoffs, include football. It's football. Make it be football. At least in soccer, there is a way to get penalty kicks. If you foul someone in the box, they get a penalty kick. I hate penalty kicks, despise them when games get decided by penalty kicks. But at least, I mean, even in like high school district play, after a game ends tied, they play 2 10-minute periods before they go to penalty kicks.
Yeah.
They actually play more soccer. In baseball, when the game's tied at the end of 9 innings, they play a 10th inning. I mean, even though in Major League Baseball, they
like the regular season or playoff?
Playoff.
Yeah.
I hate the runner at second. I mean, if everybody could do that, we'd be like, hey, this inning, we'd like to start with the runner at second, please. Thank you. Everybody would do that. But nobody, I don't like deciding games in basketball. If a game's tied at the end of 40 minutes, they play 5 minutes. And if it's tied,
thank God you're not a part of.
Go ahead.
U-Trip baseball, travel baseball games, Neal. Because guess what? You play extra innings in U-Trip baseball tournaments. You start with the bases loaded and no outs. Bases loaded and no outs at 8 years old. I'm like, look, we had before we played championship, our last tournament. They went into 4 extra innings. Because nobody could get anybody out. They just scored the run limit.
We played a tournament like that one time in Tennessee somewhere, and we were in extra innings, and we scored like 8. We scored 8. We were the first team to hit. We were the top whatever inning. We scored 8, And I literally told everybody, I said, don't even think about the runners. It's 2 outs. So I said, treat it just like there's 2 outs. Want to trade runs for outs. And so stop, because those kids freak out when there's bases loaded. They freak out. They can't throw strikes. They can't. Yeah. I said, there's 2 outs, man. Just treat it like there's 2 outs. All right. The Ole Miss Rebels win the Egg Bowl at home 26-14 over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I thought Mississippi State did what they had to do to stay in the game. I thought they played just begging them to run the football because that's Ole Miss's weakness. They were playing some wild defensive fronts, man. Wild. They were playing 3 down, and Ole Miss was creating extra gaps out of 12 personnel, and they were just filling the gaps from the back end, man. They didn't even care. And they actually, the one that Bentley hit the home run on was basically, I couldn't tell. I'd like to go back and watch the 22 copy or just ask somebody. I could probably do that. I couldn't tell if they were running gap scheme or they were pulling the uncoverage like on outside zone, but Bentley ran it downhill. They were pulling the uncoverage for sure, but like they could have ran outside zone or just got up under center and tossed outside zone until they got tired of doing it. And I was kind of surprised that they didn't get to more of that because they had a tight end and a wing, AJ, with a 5 technique or maybe a 4-eye or a 4. And then they had backers and then like 2 backers and then a safety trying to fill the gaps on the outside. And I'm sitting here going like, dude, they could go 2-on-2 in space with a toss, and they just never really got to it. So, but they forced Ole Miss to be patient, and just drive down the field. And then offensively, they made a few plays, but look, it kind of is what it is. I thought 26 was too much. I hit that one, but that will be probably the last time I imagine you see all of those that Ole Miss team together. I imagine there will be a bunch of opt-outs in the bowl game, whatever bowl game that is.
I had an issue with Lane's tweet.
Which one?
Pitching his case
he wasn't wrong
against Alabama, like on how bad they beat teams compared to like basically begging to be in the playoff. And which kind of hit our last week's show. If you've lost 3 times, you shouldn't be begging on trying to be in the playoffs. Either it happens or it doesn't. But you can't go complaining. You lost 3 times in the regular season. So I understand he's the head coach. I understand he has to try to do everything. Yeah. But the fact that he said, well, Alabama's a bigger brand, and that's why they're going to get in. Like, come on, Lane. All you had to do was win out. You were in. Alabama lost. All you had to do was win.
All they had to do was beat Kentucky in September. That's all they had to do.
But I'm saying even worst case scenario, they lose to Kentucky. Just beat Florida, beat Mississippi State. You're in.
Yeah, no, they were given a get out of jail free card after losing to Kentucky. When they lost LSU, they all said, "Hey, we just got to win out," and they beat Oklahoma, they beat Arkansas, they beat Georgia, and at that point, winning out looks pretty likely. You just got to go. If you beat Florida and you beat Mississippi State, the NCAA selection committee people, college football playoff people, were going to give you a get out of jail free card and go, "Hey, that Kentucky loss, it was bad, but you know what? You're pardoned." They were going to get pardoned for the Kentucky loss, and then they didn't beat Florida. And so, look, at the end of the day, they went 5-3 in the league. I mean, I think the Kentucky loss is disqualifying. I think that the Oklahoma loss for Alabama should be disqualifying. I've said that on the record now. South Carolina can't get in because they lost 3 games, and 2 of those were to Alabama and Ole Miss. So, this is where we get back into the whole who deserves it from the SEC. Georgia, barely. I don't know what they would have done. I don't know what they would have done if Georgia had lost to Georgia Tech and then lost to Texas in Atlanta. I guess Georgia wouldn't have made it.
No, they're out.
It would have created some problems for the league, but because no one's going to want to play in that championship game if that's the case. But I mean, at this point, it's Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee. They get in, and You know, I mean, there were people I remember at media days in July that were saying, hey, this league is perfectly capable of cannibalizing itself and just being a 3-bid league. And here we are. You know, I mean, here we are. And so people do this deal about, well, what would the SEC do if they played the ACC schedule? Or what would the SEC do if they played the Big 12 schedule? Well, they don't. And you guys agreed to this. And now people are coming along with my thing when I've been saying this from the very beginning. Why do we feel like we must pass out a participation trophy to the group of 5? Why do they deserve a spot? Just because they play in subpar leagues? And someone goes, well, they might sue. Well, then let them sue. I mean, sue who? Who exactly is suing who? That's like ridiculous. But we agreed to this. We said, oh, yes, you know what? Yes, we must give a spot to them. We must give a spot to them. And so we're giving them a spot. We're going to put Boise State into a tournament that it has no chance to win at all. None. 0% chance. And so we're putting them in the league because it's like, well, we need to do the right thing. We don't want to make anybody feel left out or less important or any of that. So they're in. And we all agreed to this. And so here we are. And if the SEC only gets 3 and everybody gnashes their teeth and bangs their fist up against the wall, my response is, okay, you signed up for it. Here it is. Like, I don't think if the committee lets one of those teams in, they should fall to their knees and thank the football gods that they got in. Because I can easily make a case for Alabama not making the tournament. I just go Oklahoma. And if you say make a case for Ole Miss not making the tournament, okay, Kentucky, I'm good. We're done. I can leave now. I rest my case. Those are disqualifying losses. But you have this thing that comes out again tomorrow, and at no point tomorrow is anybody going to say, what exactly is the criteria you use? Because that's not going to get answered. Well, here comes the word salad. I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, and when I get done, I'm going to have talked in circles and a big pretzel, and you won't know anything that I said, but I'll be done, and you'll go, oh, thanks, Ward. You're so smart. We didn't lay the rules out. And now everybody there's no goalpost. You play on this field that doesn't have marked lines, and someone goes, that ball's out of bounds. Well, where's the boundary? It's right there. It's not marked. Yeah, but it's there. Remember when you were kids? When you were kids and you would play on like someone's backyard, and you're like, the pine tree is the foul pole, and then the ball would kind of go close to the pine tree, and you're like, half the people go, it's foul, and everybody's, well, you don't know because there's no line. And had you just had a line there, you could at least go, okay, well, it was left of the line. We don't have that. This is a stupid sport. It's typical. It's fitting that on a year that's just total chaos, and we're about to do this thing because we're literally about to do a thing where 5 years ago, if I told you guys, all right, here's what we're going to do in college football. We're going to take $18 million and make that player's salary. You'd have been like, whoa, really? And I'd say, but that's not all. In addition, we're going to raise money from the fans to give more money to the players, maybe as much as $10, $12 million more. You'd have said, wow, $30 million for the football budget for the players. But that's not all. You can leave whenever you'd like and go to another school. You can play at Alabama in 2025 and at Auburn in 2026, but that's not all. You can come back to Alabama in 2027 and then play at Cal in 2028. And if you only play 4 games at Cal, you can save your extra year and spend your year 5 at SMU and keep getting money. So it's fitting that the postseason tournament has about as much clarity and transparency about it that the sport does right now. I'm done.
I would like to say you're welcome to all listeners of our show. We've hit 2 of 3 Neal's ragey points. One with a group of 5 getting in the playoff. That's one. And obviously the big one is the overtime one. Those are his 2 football ones. He's got a couple other ones that we got him good and going. But hey, we've turned the page on the other ones. I'm
telling you, my sleeper in it is I want to see where they put South Carolina in this thing. I'm telling you, I told y'all this last week. I I'm telling you,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
They're playing better ball than Ole Miss and Alabama right now.
Yeah,
Okay, timeout.
Okay,
hold
on. They are, but is that part of the criteria?
That's what I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody knows except the committee. The committee has done shit the past couple of years where it's like, damn, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
So
because
I think it's interesting.
in basketball, AJ, when they lay out the field, they'll tell you, hey, we do look at your last 10 games. We do kind of look, hey, how are you playing late? Because we want as good a tournament as possible, supposedly. In football, they've said, hey, this is in football, they've said that it's just body of work. That they even went so far last week, the Manuel guy, he was like, yeah, we don't even look at margin of victory. Yeah, you do. Of course you do.
Yeah.
So why do you say that? And so listen, nothing they might do on Sunday is going to really surprise me. Nothing. Because they've created a system where at the end of the day, they can do whatever the hell they decide they want to do, and they just can twist some words around. And at the end of and who's going to get mad? I mean, who's going to get mad if they only?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Like,
what
rules? But what rules do they have that like nobody knows? I mean, you listen to like reporters, and this is all they do. Nobody has a true understanding of what rules they are going to live by. So when it comes to these conference championships, what rules are they going to go by? Are they going to punish them? Or are they not going to punish them? Because they said they're not going to punish them, but all of a sudden now Clemson wins. So does that mean Miami's all of a sudden in and SMU's out? Because you said you weren't going to punish them. That's SMU's only loss. It's in the conference championship. So how do you punish them now? And then it goes back to Georgia and Texas. Georgia turns around and loses this time to Texas. So do you punish Georgia now and you bump in Alabama instead? Or does Miami creep back in? Or can South Carolina creep in off of this? Because South Carolina's like, that's where I'm saying I think it's just nothing but confusion among the committee because they don't have a true layout and true system of this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I got my one playoff piece, and then I'm going to save the rest of it for tomorrow. But y'all brought up a hot topic because I've had to answer it 87,412 times the last 2 days. South Carolina, they're a 9-3 team. All right, the two other SEC teams that are 9-3 that as of last week, not this week, but as of last Tuesday, they were behind Ole Miss and Alabama. Okay, and I get that they're hot right now. Understand it, get it, totally understand. But at the end of the day, it would be very hard to explain to anybody how you jump two teams that you lost to. And so for me, when you start comparing resumes, you compare resumes because you haven't played each other. There is no resume comparison when you've played that team and you've lost to them. They lost by 20-something at home to Ole Miss, and they lost by 2 on the road to Alabama. But you lost. And so for me, when there's no different record, they're not 10-2, the other ones are 9-3. It is all three teams have the same record, and South Carolina lost to those two. In my opinion, that's disqualifying. Now, to answer your question about when you're talking about Alabama, Clemson, ACC, it's really simple to me. I think the playoffs are set, minus one spot. If Clemson beats SMU, it's going to be Clemson and SMU will get in. If SMU beats Clemson, SMU and Alabama will get in. I will bet you lunch that's what happens.
So that's what I'm saying. So that in that case, you punish Miami because the AP poll already bumped South Carolina in the AP poll 2 spots in front of Ole Miss. They both won this weekend.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It's AP's media. It doesn't matter.
I understand that, but I'm saying usually that has some sort of concept and outlook on what the committee ends up.
It did until last week.
Right, but it usually matches up somewhere in there. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be weird. And if you say you're not going to punish conference champions or conference championship games, then how can you say SMU and Clemson are already in in the ACC championship. But if Clemson wins, SMU's out, and then you bump in a Miami or you bump in Alabama. Like, I want Alabama in, but I'm just saying, from a football fan, I'm taking my Alabama glasses off.
Thongs.
From a
Thongs.
Yeah, from a football fan, you can't sit here as a football fan that knows the game and say, okay, a 3-loss team, according to your standards, should be in over a team that lost in the conference championship, because that's what they've been saying. As a committee, that's what I'm saying. I think the committee's full of shit.
That's my whole thing is I don't think there's a team that's going to lose in the conference championship games. I don't think there's one that's going to lose and get out, except for if Clemson lost, because they would be a 4-loss team. All right, so I think Clemson, Miami's not in it. Miami's 10-2. They lost their playoff hopes this weekend, which let's jump real quick. All right, we got to hustle. Tennessee beat Vandy big quick. Tennessee beat Vandy 36-23. I doubled y'all up on that one. Look, Tennessee spotted them 14 points to start the game. Quick, ran a kickoff return back, fumbled on the first play. It was like 14-0, like 3 plays into the game, it felt like. But Tennessee pretty much controlled the game from then on out. Tennessee played well. Tennessee didn't play tight. They were rolling. Tennessee did not play tight. They were rolling. South Carolina, Clemson, which that's why I was trying to get to this game. South Carolina beat Clemson 17-14. Lenore Sellers is an alien. The dude's an alien. Lenore Sellers is an alien. Like, you can't. The way he was running the football and shedding dudes, it was like when you play a video game and people get pissed at you because you're like, oh, he can't break that tackle. It was very Derrick Henry-ish. I mean, dude was just slinging people. They couldn't tackle the guy. And then Clemson came down and had a chance to tie the game and then threw a pick, threw one behind the running back, and it tipped up for a pick. But Lenore Sellers is an alien, man. I did think Clemson, very weirdly, like when Tennessee lost to Georgia, very strangely, I thought it was the best game Clemson's played in a losing effort. They called a great game offensively, kind of neutralized the defensive line as much as they could, try to get it out of his hands. I thought they played a good game. Just Lenore Sellers, there's been a lot of dudes that can't tackle him. That was just freaky what he did. All right, here we go. This is what I was going to get to. The Syracuse Orange beat Miami 42-38. This one, Miami was up 21-0 in this game. I think Miami's out. I think their defensive effort disqualifies them. I mean, dude, they can't stop a nosebleed, man. They can't stop a nosebleed. Now, they can score points, but they're like watching. I've said this a few weeks ago, Scoops. They remind me so much of LSU last year, to where they can go out and score at will on anybody they want to, but they can't stop anybody. I don't know how they have any argument of being in the playoffs. I think they're going to drop out. I would be shocked if they're in the playoffs. Regardless of any scenario, I don't think they're in the playoffs.
They're 2-loss?
2-loss team, 10-2. They lost to obviously lost to Syracuse. Who'd they lose to a few weeks ago? Louisville? No, they beat Louisville. They lost to somebody. Hell, I don't remember. But they're a 2-loss team. But I think they're out. And then the game that everybody wants, the last 2 games will be fun to talk about. Let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide, AJ. Alabama Crimson Tide win the Iron Bowl 28-14 over Mine and Grind's Auburn Tigers. What was your thoughts on that game, boss?
We got the running game established from handing the ball to the running backs, and then I've said this multiple times. They're a different offense when Jalen can run the football. When they get the running game going with him and the running backs, they're a different team, because then they bring everybody in the box. So throwing for him is easier because you're facing man coverage, or at the worst case, you're facing a man coverage, but maybe like one robber, and are doubling back on Ryan. And it makes it easier. He doesn't have to read zone coverages and showing one thing and pre and post snap type reads. So he's still turning the ball over way too much. I mean, he had I think he's had 7 turnovers in the last 2 games. I think It's just too many. They're not a dominant team by any means. So and I hate to say that because I want us to win and want us to get in. I just don't know if we're a good enough team to really deserve to be in there.
When they run the ball, Milroe, they look. It seems like they're having a tough time. As weird as this sounds, 12 games into it, there's no offensive identity. 12 games in, 12 games, or if there is one, they refuse to accept their identity. How about that? They refuse to accept their identity. Every time, I mean, they had 4 turnovers. He cannot throw the ball in the pocket. We said that 874,000 episodes of this show. He's spraying it all over the lot. They had 4 turnovers. And then on the other side, let's talk about this with Auburn. I thought Auburn obviously defensively did enough to keep them in the game and play. They created 4 turnovers. Auburn moved the ball very well between the 20s. Could not do anything in the red zone. He went for it all the time in the red zone because I understand he probably didn't think they were going to get 4 turnovers. You know, if hindsight was 20/20 and you told him he was going to get 4 turnovers, he'd probably taken points a little bit more. But then he missed field goals when they did have a chance to get them. So I understand they had field goal kicker issues too. So, you know, you really can't do that.
Bad call on his part, not going for it before halftime.
Yeah, that was a weird clock management thing too. He rushed to call timeout.
The third down. Well, he rushed the play on third down. They ran a play on second, and then he did hurry up just inside zone on third down.
And then called a timeout. And if you were going to take the field goal, let it run down to 3 seconds, then take it so they don't get the ball back. So he was probably indecisive, didn't know what he was wanting to do on that one before when he got down there. But look, at the end of the day, I will say this: if you watched Auburn down the stretch and you watched them closely, they're a quarterback away. They're going to have to replace the running back, obviously. But man, if they get those young wide receivers are explosive, man. Those young wide receivers are explosive. Defense is good. Young wide receivers, if they can get a quarterback.
Coleman's he's an animal.
The other kid too. I mean, they got some young cats now on the perimeter that can play. The tight end's a good player. He's going to be a third-year player, Fairweather. But they got some guys. They got some guys to be explosive. But they got to get a quarterback. And if they get a quarterback, I mean, they're going to be okay. I'm not saying they're going to go win the damn thing, but they're going to be pretty good. And they're adding recruiting to it. But they have to. They don't have a choice. They have to go get a quarterback. All right, last college game, the Texas A&M game. Texas wins 17-7. Wow. Probably I didn't know what to expect in this game. Tip of the cap to the Longhorns. They went into a hostile environment and they did in Texas. And look, Texas A&M, everybody, like, you never had a feeling that Texas A&M was going to win that game. But Texas A&M played well on defense and got some turnovers and opportune times. But look, man, Texas, I mean, how many 4th and shorts did they stop, man? I mean, they dominated the game up front and they ran the ball at will, and Texas A&M could not tackle them. And in a hostile environment, they never really let the crowd get into it. You know, when they got the pick 6, made it 17-7. They kind of were back in it for a minute. But, dude, Texas showed me a little something there. And we didn't know because they hadn't played anybody. But they're playing really well right now, which sets up the rematch for this weekend with Georgia and Texas. But in my opinion, Texas looked like a championship caliber team in that effort. That's how you win games like that on the road.
I still don't buy a ton of hype into that game, though. I don't think Texas A&M. I think teams are starting to figure out Reed.
No, I agree, but dude, they were freaking they were dominating the game.
No, I mean, if you're Texas, like, that's a game you had to win to make a statement, though, because you've been so up and down in the past years. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a big win. I just think there was a lot of unnecessary hype behind A&M.
Yeah. All right, real quick, then we'll end this bad boy. We're gonna end this game. You know, last week, Scoops. Last week you had a proxy on Wednesday. Named AJ McCarron that picked your games for you, and he was gonna take on his old coach, and the old Pick'ems. AJ, you went 5-6, -0.8.
The Lions screwed me.
Hey, that's part of it, dog. I'll talk about me getting screwed here too. Well, I will talk about it.
Let's go through these games.
Your boy went 7-4. I went 7-4. So I gained I'm now 75, 72 and 2 plus 4.6 units. Scoops and proxies are 69, 78 and 2 at minus 5.89 units. So there we go. So we've opened it back up a little bit. All right. AJ, you had South Alabama +1. They lose to Texas State 45-38. You would have won this game. Gio Lopez got hurt. He got knocked out of the game. You got screwed on that one. Gio Lopez, he'll be an interesting one to see if he sticks around South Alabama. That dude can play, man. He's a good player. Have you thrown with him?
Mm-hmm.
He is. Hey, he's got a little something. You had Vandy +10.5, as I had Tennessee -10.5. Tennessee won 36-23. You about backdoored me on that one. You had the Ohio State Michigan over 43. Michigan wins 13-10. So close yet not. That was not even remote.
Hey, that's another one. If Ryan Day doesn't win the national championship, is he fired?
All right, I had that on there. We were rolling. That's when I was skipping around. I don't understand. I don't understand. I'll never understand that. The guy's 40. I understand they want to beat Michigan. I get that. I understand that. But the goal shouldn't be, in this new playoff era, the goal should be to win the national championship.
You grew up in the state of Alabama. You should completely understand this.
Right.
In today's world, you got a coach that's 47-1 in conference play in the Big Ten. He's 1-4 against Michigan. He's 47-1 against everybody else, and that is a 1-point loss this year on the road at Oregon. And he's in the playoffs. I don't understand that.
Could you get Bill Curry on the phone for me, please?
Yeah, but it's not 1989 either. It's different times. I don't.
Right, but you still understand if Alabama and Auburn. I mean, how many Alabama coaches and Auburn coaches sucked throughout the year, but they won that game and it helped keep their job.
It doesn't.
And then how many lost, and that's what ended up getting them fired.
I mean,
guys, it's an emotional decision.
If Kalen DeBoer dominated the SEC but lost to Auburn 4 straight years, they would be ready to run him. It is what it is.
Oh, if he lost 2 years in a row, he's out.
That's making emotional decisions in a business sport now. It wasn't a business back then. It's a business now, and you got to.
It was just a smaller business.
What's that?
It was a smaller.
It was
business.
about.
It was
90%.
a cash only business.
It's a 90% less business.
Yeah,
is that fair? 90%. All right, but that's almost about right. You know, that about 92% somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
All right, but allegedly. All right, but look, at the end of the day, he's 47-1. Think about that.
All right. I understand all that. I'm just
saying
that's what the talk is.
Hear me out. If Kalen DeBoer 5 years from now is 47-1 in SEC play, 47-1 in SEC play,
40-7-1.
No, 47, the number, and 1.
Okay.
He's 47-1 against Big Ten opponents, and he's 1-4 against Michigan.
That doesn't make any sense.
Take out Michigan.
Oh, excluding Michigan.
Okay, he's 47-1.
Gotcha.
He is
against all other opponents in the SEC.
Right.
And
he's 1-4.
1-point loss. What's that?
But you're saying he's 47. If Kalen DeBoer is 47-1 versus the rest of the SEC
against everybody but Auburn, and he's 1-4.
He's 1-4 versus Auburn,
going to the playoffs every year and competing for a national title.
Right. I don't care about competing. Has he won a national title?
Yeah, he'd have to win the national title.
He's fired.
He's
fired.
Ryan Day hasn't won one.
They'd fire him.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's fired.
How
He's
about
fired.
this? You know he has the highest winning percentage of any Ohio State head coach?
Oh, I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
Maybe have like a little bit more, but he's right there.
I'm just saying, if he hasn't won a national championship, Alabama fans and Ohio State fans are basically the same thing. They do not give a shit if you're competing. Guess what? You're losing to Michigan every year and you're not winning a national championship. Fired.
Yeah, I still don't agree with it. Just that's my opinion. Y'all can have y'all's opinion. That's just my opinion.
No, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's the reality, though.
It's emotional decisions in a business world. They don't mix. All right. Y'all had Alabama minus 11.5 that covered. They beat Auburn 28-14. That shouldn't have covered. Hugh just kick a field goal every once in a while. Hugh would be awesome. One field goal would have been great.
Welcome to hell, Hugh. Lose next year. See how it goes.
Arizona State minus 9.
Lose that bad boy at Jordan Hare next year, Hugh.
Yeah, that would
trust me. I don't care. You can go 11-1 if the one's them. Good luck.
He goes 11.
He's fired.
He's not fired, guys.
Fired.
He's not. He's not going 11-1.
We're jumping the shark. If he was 11-1 and his one loss was to Alabama next year, he would not be going anywhere. We're taking this a little too far.
He'll have more than
We're taking just a little bit too far. All right.
Might as well start puckering up for that one, Hugh, because it's coming.
Arizona State. Y'all had Arizona State minus 9. They beat Arizona 49-7.
We should get like 3 credits for that. That was so easy.
Holy smokes.
What was our money line, by the way? Because
money line was South Carolina plus 114.
Got that one. The one that I wish we'd done, what we should have done in hindsight, AJ, was taken South Carolina plus the points and then gone with the Syracuse money line. That was the one.
I'm the one that picked Syracuse.
I know.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't. Right?
We still couldn't. Yeah.
All right, I had Mississippi State plus 26. That covered. I had Tennessee minus 10.5. That covered. I had Syracuse plus 11. That covered. I had South Carolina plus 2.5. That covered. And then I lost Texas A&M plus 5.5. Boy, if I got a touchdown right there at the end on 4th down, I would have covered that one too, but I didn't. It was close cover. Close loss. And then my money line. Dude, when you look at the score of this, I had USC plus 240. And you look at the score and like, oh, Notre Dame kicked the shit out of them. They threw a pick
96 yards.
It went 96 yards.
And then 130 right after.
They were going to tie the game. And then they drove the field again. And what did they do? They threw one from like a 103-yard pick six on the next drive. They threw 2 pick sixes, then came down and scored again. They were moving the ball, but god dang, dude, threw 2 pick sixes in the last 3 minutes of the game. That's not good for a money line bet. All right, and then NFL. Here you go. NFL, you had the Lions minus 9.5. They beat the Bears, okay? And we didn't talk about this earlier, but Matt Eberflus, that's Scoops' team on the Chicago Bears, gets fired at the end of the game.
That was awful.
All right, 30. I understand what he was trying to do, but
it's going Caleb.
At the point that Caleb changed the play, he should have called timeout.
Yes.
Then he started.
It's on Caleb.
Oh, dude. 32.
Caleb is sitting there. What are you sitting there for? Why are you looking back and forth? Everybody set. Go.
He was trying to change the play. Football IQ is a disaster. And on coaches, too, both of them are wrong in this case. Caleb's wrong and the coach is wrong. At 32 seconds, if you didn't burn a timeout, I understand because it was going to be 4th down after that play. It was 3rd down going to 4. He was trying to get something called quick, get a couple more yards, let it run down, call the timeout, kick the field goal to tie the game. But in that case, he changes the play. They go all vertical. He throws the bitch out. Clock runs out. Like, oh, my God, just critical. Like, I knew right then, I was like, dude's fired.
But he should have, yeah. And then he said at his postgame statement was, I think, what really got him fired because he said, we did it exactly what we wanted to do. Like, he really didn't take any ownership for it being a debacle. Yeah, but that's on Caleb too. Like Caleb, you have to understand as a quarterback, you can't just sit there. The clock's running. You have to have a play. And if they would have called a timeout right then, they would have played prevent defense probably, and you could have had an easy play. Like you still had another timeout after that because you had 2 timeouts. So you still could have thrown a quick one, banged a timeout, and then tried to kick a winning field goal.
Yeah, it was a bad deal.
It was bad.
By the way, can I make an early hot take on this one? Early hot take. I can tell you one of 2 people that will be the next head coach of Chicago Bears. Hot take. I said it here first. What's today's date? Monday, December the 2nd at 3:17. It's either going to be Lincoln Riley or it's going to be Cliff Kingsbury, next head coach of the Chicago Bears.
No, I think it's going to be somebody that was with the GM in Kansas City.
All right, I'm going with Cliff Kingsbury or Lincoln Riley.
Because the GM was a head scout or I forget his damn name. I saw him at Alabama all the time, but he was one of the head scouts for Kansas City before he got that GM job.
Yeah.
But I bet he goes back to his roots of Kansas City.
I think they're going to try to get somebody Caleb's familiar with and grow him. and then he sees what Cliff was at USC, now just doing what he's doing with Jaden Daniels, I think he's gonna bring him over. That's my guess. I would leave Kingsbury. All right. You had the Cowboys minus 3.5. They were winning easily. The Giants came back and screwed you, but they won the game 27-20. What an ugly game. Oh my gosh, what an ugly game. You had the Colts Patriots under 42.5.
I had it. Stop them on fourth down.
25-24.
We lost that bet, Neal, off the fourth down, 4th and goal, and they throw a touchdown.
You're getting used to this. Hey, look at you. We've been doing this for 150 games. You're in it one time. He's so emotional.
I don't even feel anything anymore.
He doesn't. He feels. He's like,
that's what she said.
Yeah,
so.
You're just 2 today.
Just
2 today. It's 2 today. Then you had the Texans -4. They had the Texans -4. They beat the Jags 23-20. So you lose that one by a point. And then you had the Steelers.
That was a dirty hit, dude.
All right. So I'm going to give you. I know you're a quarterback. You're going to take up for Trevor Lawrence. I think that was bad on both sides.
No, he was getting down.
You can't be doing that late slide shit. You can't be doing
it. Wasn't that late. It wasn't that late. Watch it full speed. He is clearly his mannerisms. Everything is going down. That dude is known for dirty hits. They have a compilation of all of his dirty hits from this year and in the past. All he wants to do is fight everybody. That's a dirty ass hit.
Hey, he slid late, but when he went into him, he didn't have to go into him with a hug. He went with the forearm across the face.
He knew what he was doing, dude.
Yeah,
and I can't. I guarantee you that fine's going to be at least $75,000.
Probably more than that.
And it's the NFL. The NFL, you got to understand as an NFL player, whether you like it or not, that you can't take cheap shots at quarterbacks.
I bet
you just can't.
I bet he loses that whole game check. Because the after stuff, when they threw him out of the game, he took his helmet off and all that stuff. Yeah, he's going to try to get into it with the fans. He is going to lose a whole week's check on that.
Oh, dude, that's how damn Greg Williams and the injury hit or the hit on people happens. There'll be a hit out on him. I promise you. Well, it might not be this year, but going into next year, somebody's going to have a hit out on him, and it's going to be somebody on that team or one of the opposing teams. Hey, I'll pay your fine. You knock his ass out of the game. Here's you $10,000 cash, and I'll pay your fine. I promise you, it happens.
Allegedly, it happens. Allegedly, follow that up with allegedly. Say allegedly.
Yeah.
You got to say allegedly.
It happens.
Allegedly.
It happens. Allegedly.
There you go. Thank you. I'm trying to help my dog out over there. You got to help me help you. All right. I had the Dolphins. You're talking about getting screwed, AJ. I had the Dolphins Packers over 47.5. The Packers beat the Dolphins 30-47 because the Dolphins decided to go for 2 instead of kicking the extra point. Thank you. Appreciate the shit out of that one. I lost that one by half a point. I had in the easiest wager I've ever placed in the history of mankind. I had the Steelers-Bengals over 47.5. It hit before halftime. The over hit before halftime. Look, the Bengals are unbelievable on offense. What Russell Wilson did to them, Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers looked like they were running shoot back in the day, just spinning it all over the lot. Russell threw for 400-something yards, like the most he's thrown for in I don't know how long. They can't stop a nosebleed. They can't play man coverage. And if you have to play zone in the NFL, good luck to you. They can't play man coverage. They're not good enough to play man coverage.
Yeah, we struggled with that last year, playing man coverage and tried to play a lot more zone. We were up front, we weren't great on stopping the run, and it just caused issues, and they have the same issues this year.
All right, I had the Eagles +3. They beat the Ravens 24-19. The Eagles are real, boys. Eagles are real. They're on fire right now.
How frustrating is that for Burrow, by the way? This is the prime of his career, and it's starting to get away from him a little bit, and he's a long way from a Super Bowl right now. Is he?
Oh, 100%. It's going to be frustrating, and you can see it. Joe's not going to publicly – he'll make little sly comments in his interviews. I think last week he said, "Yeah, we suck. We just can't find a win." Like he'll start being frustrated, and he's not one like inside the building to hide his emotion. Like he'll let it be known that he's not happy, which you have to be. I mean, you're the franchise quarterback, or if you're not and you're just the starter, like you have to tell the truth about things. So, listen, they're going to be in some trouble. I mean, they're going to lose T this offseason. Their offense isn't the same. Like when you don't have a true guy on the other side of Jamar that can take some pressure off, where teams can't just play two-man and double or just double in zone concepts or man concepts and double Jamar, it's going to make it tough. And I know they want to run the ball. That's why they loaded up on so many tight ends this year. I mean, they have more tight ends on their roster this year than we've had in a long, long time. But they're going to have to figure out something because they're not going to be able to pay T. I mean, T's going to go somewhere and get number one money for sure. And they're going to have to either go to the draft and draft well and hope they hit there or something. But yeah, I'm sure Joe's frustrated. I haven't reached out to him.
There's enough receivers in the draft to take that pressure off Jamar and to get one, but then they need to go get a freaking corner, man. They got to get a corner because they can't cover shit.
Well, that's the thing though, is they've been drafting defensive guys. I mean, hell,
I'm with
and
you.
it just hasn't worked out.
I'm with you. You got to keep throwing against the wall though. Something's got to stick. I mean,
yeah.
All right, and the last one I had the Commanders -5.5. And Cliff Kingsbury, the new coach of the Chicago Bears, Cliff Kingsbury, took Jay Daniels and they went ham. They were up like 35-0, I think. They ended up beating the Titans 42-19. 42-19. So I am 75-72 plus 4.6 units. Scoops is 69. Scoops and proxies are 69-78 -2 minus 5.89 units. That's it for the day. That's all I got, homie. Tell me about all of our guys, all of our friends that help out the show.
We've been brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams, natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Scoops, I apologize to my good friends. You know what? When Cliff Kingsbury's packing up and he's heading to Chicago, you know what he should do, AJ? He should stop by Kiev Meridian. Or is
Cliff polar opposite way? I mean, I'm all for Kia Meridian, but just geographically doesn't match up.
Geographically, it's just
maybe he's visiting, and then he's driving back through.
You'd be like, look, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, I understand why you would want a vehicle from Kia Meridian, and also understand why you'd want to come spin the wheel. But this is probably a sign that your planning and judgment is going awry early.
Yeah, if he's leaving Washington to head to Meridian, Mississippi, like I don't know if as a Chicago fan base, if you feel great about that hire.
Couldn't he just call him?
I'm just trying to end the show.
Couldn't he call the people at Kia and go, listen, I can't get there right now, but I want a Kia from you guys. Could you? I mean, I guarantee you they could arrange a way to get it to him. And then he can say,
and then if they don't want to, if they don't want to do that, Neal, then he could just offer up some saucy nugs to him, and then that might sweeten the deal.
Yeah, I'm just trying to end the show. You guys, you're unbelievable.
Y'all got a Wendy's down there in Meridian? Because let me tell you, I got a deal for you.
Cliff, when you go by, are you looking for an unbeatable deal? Kia of Meridian has you covered with rates as low as 1.9% on new rides. Whether it's the ever-popular Telluride, the Sorrento, the Sportage, or the K5, we've got something for everyone. Plus, a huge selection of new and used vehicles. And here's the best part, Cliff. With any new or used vehicle purchase, what's he going to get to do, AJ?
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel. And win awesome prizes like a PS5, an Xbox, a TV, and more. Don't wait. Come by Kia of Meridian or call 601-483-6444 and drive away a winner today. Kia of Meridian, your road, your ride, your deal. Scoops are also brought to you by PTG Outdoors. They are a Camus boats dealer. We have both fresh and saltwater boats. They sell and service Mercury outboards. They do custom marine electronic installations with Garmin, Humminbird, and Low Wrench products. You can get all of your fishing needs and custom golf cart retrofits where we replace all the batteries with a single lithium battery. Located in Grenada, Mississippi, you can make sure you go to the online store at ptgoutdoors.com. Remember, Drew McGehee, winner of the drawing at PTG Outdoors, or call 662-459-9311. Also, little foreshadowing here. Got a new giveaway. He's been crushing over there. Got a new giveaway probably coming tomorrow. He's traveling, so as soon as he gets me the reader, we'll have a new giveaway. That's big time too.
There you go. All right, thanks as always every Monday to our friend AJ McCarron. AJ, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it as usual. We'll be back tomorrow. I have no idea what the hell we'll talk about. We'll talk about something. Probably talk about playoffs. I'll get pissed off again.
We got playoffs. We got champion. We got turn the page Tuesday.
Oh, turn the page.
We'll discuss the playoff. We'll discuss the playoffs and our rankings and all that good stuff, and then we'll discuss. Preview the championship games.
Oh,
so yeah, it writes itself. And then any coaching news that we got along the way. Some things I can't talk about, obviously, that betray friends' trust. So I'll just.
But I can talk about. You can talk about. I hear.
I'll just defer all of those.
I'm watching two of your friends.
I'll just be silent
over the course of the next week.
I'll just be silent.
Your buddy Rich Rod's got a game to coach this weekend, but he does have some ties to West Virginia. Just saying.
You know who's going to try to get that job? He's already tried. I mean, they ain't going to give it to him, but.
Do what?
I said, you know who's going to try to get that West Virginia job?
Who's that?
Anthony Beck.
You know who I would hire if I were West Virginia? I'd hire Nick Saban.
West Virginia boy.
I know.
Yeah, let me tell you,
that'd make some news. That'd get you some headlines.
Let me tell you whose name that nobody's talking about that may appear. Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, makes sense.
I can see that too.
Because Jimbo keeps all of his money at A&M.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Hey, you think he'll be like NIL? Y'all.
I bet he laughed his ass off when A&M goes 8-4 again. He's like, see? It might not just be me.
Dude, 75.
I'll tell you who's going to be up for that one of these jobs, whether it's North Carolina or UCF or hell, even.
Can I guess what's going in your mind right now?
Who?
Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen.
Listen, I worked with him at ESPN. He's got such a good gig. I think he really likes that. I don't know if he wants to get back into coaching because – they're paying him well at ESPN.
He's balking.
But no, he is for sure. I think Glenn Schumann's going to be a hot topic name for one of those jobs.
And because we're scrambling, but you know what's crazy is how many of these jobs.
He's kind of pushing him too.
Hey, we got 16 openings right now in college football. 16 signing days in 2 days.
Boys, I might become a coach in college here in the future just to get a contract and then work my ass to get fired somehow.
Oh,
this isn't on tape. Nobody will watch this part of it.
Be a fired college football coach. That's the way to be.
Suck.
That's the way to be.
It was a pretty good year and a half I had.
I mean, wow. I mean, if you're Jimbo, you walked with $75 million and somebody else might hire you and give you another 5 or 6 a year for kicks and giggles. That's living.
I mean,
people make fun of Jimbo. I'm like, are you crazy,
dude?
So, I mean, Jimbo's the one winning here.
Yeah,
winning at life. He is winning. He's a winner.
I just don't.
Let me tell you what. He didn't learn how to be a loser. He's been a winner the whole time.
I just don't know how I could go. Yeah, you know what? I could make $75 million just to sit here for 5 years.
You don't think you can do that?
But I'm saying I don't know that I'd be able to go, oh, you know what? Or I could get back into the grind at a place where it's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like
West home, though.
You're gonna find me on a golf course somewhere.
That's the only reason.
I know, but you know what? My advice to him would be, don't go home to coach.
Well,
Don't go
my
home
rule.
to coach.
You know my rule, AJ. You know my
Yeah.
rule. Don't coach at your alma mater because they will never love you.
Do not coach at your alma mater. Don't cover your alma mater. Do not do it.
They will never love you like
Mistake.
like you love them. It never happens. Never happens.
No, it will sever your relationship.
It will.
It will. It absolutely.
100%. I mean, look at Mike Shula. Mike Shula was, I mean, they loved him as a player, and he goes there, does well, and then it goes to shit. And then, I mean, Alabama fans don't want anything to do with Mike Shula.
Literally. I mean, he's a guy. Shula's the best example. Shula and Matt Luke.
Yeah.
They're the best examples. I mean, Mike Shula was like the Alabama-Auburn game that I remember as a kid. You know, both my parents went to Alabama. And so I grew up an Alabama fan. And I remember the game. I was probably 13 years old. So you guys were too young. But Mike Shula's at Legion Field, and Alabama trails by, I want to say 1 or 2. And they get the ball back, and they don't have any timeouts. And Mike Shula just makes play after play after play, and he hit, I want to say, Greg Richardson across the middle of the field, and Greg Richardson barely gets out of bounds. I mean, just barely gets out of bounds. And out to 35-yard line. And Alabama runs the field goal team out. Van Tiffin.
1985.
I was 15 years old. Van Tiffin comes running out. They can't stop the clock and get set up. It's scramble drill. What do y'all call it? The fire drill or whatever? I mean, they're out there, and it's just we're flying around. Keith Jackson's on the call, and Van Tiffin just drills it right down there. That was before.
Big wide field goals, too.
And but that was before the kickers had the level. Where like now, like you look around.
And a block, too.
You look around now, and all the kickers, I mean, every kicker in the NFL is like, yeah, here's a 60-yarder. I'm going to do it with my other foot blindfolded, upside down, with the wind blowing. And they're all so phenomenal at kicking. But that was before then. The 52 yards was a bomb.
How about the dude for the Patriots yesterday? They tried a 68-yarder to win it.
Yeah.
And
he almost had that someday.
He almost hit it. He was like a yard or two short. And it was like 12 degrees outside and the wind blowing. He was right down the middle. Those guys were good.
Yeah.
He made that.
Hey, I tell you, a crazy rule, and see if this is still the case. Siskey will know. Hell, Neal might know. In high school, I saw
fair catch.
No, I saw a team, instead of punting, they kicked a field goal from their own like 20, 25, 30-yard line, and it went down. Nobody caught it. It's still a live ball. It lands at the 1, and they down it at the 1.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can? Because the ball never touched the ground? Because it's on a tee?
Yeah, it's a weird deal. If it doesn't get blocked, stuff, yeah. But you got to cover it, too. But people don't know that rule.
Right. I think that's pretty insane. I didn't know that. I just recently saw that. But a team did it. And the defense is like, what the hell are they doing? And they didn't have anybody down.
In high school, you also got the fair catch off. We used to practice it. Remember, maybe different high schools, different areas. But in Alabama, we used to have the fair catch off of a punt. I think they've since changed it. If you fair catch a punt, you can have a free kick. You can put it on a tee, like a kickoff tee, and kick it and try to kick a field goal to win the game. We used to practice that. You probably don't remember because you were probably over there chilling because you weren't on special teams. But we used to practice that at St. Paul's. We couldn't. We had the best football player I've ever coached at any level, Destin Hood, returning. You're gonna get AJ fired up. The best football player I've ever coached on any level, Destin Hood. All right, we'd put him back for punt return. We had to be the worst punt return team that ever existed. He would watch the ball hit and just watch it roll 40 freaking yards backwards. And we're like, hey, you mind, like, that's like 4 first downs I don't have to call. Just fair catch it. He refused. He refused to ever return the kick. And then my favorite one to get AJ.
Well, y'all could have taken him out and putting somebody else in.
Yeah, but if he touched the ball, he was probably going to score if he ever picked it up. And then the other one was I remember AJ. We had a little kicking problem, and AJ goes, "Look at him! Look at him!" We had a little kicking problem, and our guy we would miss extra points, and we'd have to go for 2 a lot, and then we would kick off and we'd kick the ball out of bounds. And I remember him coming to me. He's like, "Coach," he goes, "Do you understand where we're at?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We're at St. Paul's." He goes, "Not finding a kicker at St. Paul's is kind of like being at Williamson and can't find a receiver." He's like, We
Yeah.
had no AJ had a little problem. We couldn't find a kicker, man. We had no kickers.
Well, I mean,
All these
listen,
soccer players, no kickers.
I'm like catch a little bit of shit. But I used to tell Saban that all the time, like at Alabama. I mean, my time at Alabama, we struggled. I mean, Jeremy Shelley was good. Tiffin when I first got there, but we struggled for the most part being able to kick field goals. And I told Saban, I'm like, one day at practice, we're sitting there watching it, and then we're missing, and we're just still kicking more and more, and everybody's watching. And I'm like, I went to him, I was like, you realize, like, not having a kicker at the University of Alabama is like just going to an all-black school, not finding one athlete. Like, not one. It's impossible, but we found a way.
What was his response to that?
He probably just laughed at me and then smirked and walked away. I can't remember. It's been so long, but I mean, God almighty. Listen, there's a lot of guys, and I know it's a tough job, but that's all you do. And especially in high school, like all they did was kick, and they would go down. We'd be practicing, and I'd look down, and you could see down from our practice field. It's called the skillet, down into the bowl. And our kickers and long snappers and punters would be down there, and they ordered pizza. And they're down there eating pizza. I'm like, and we can't make a damn kick. What the hell are they eating pizza for?
They were hungry.
Kickers pissed me off, dude.
All right, so we've established. I already knew that one. I know how to get you guys triggered. AJ's is kickers. Yours is playoff is overtime and group of fives in the playoffs.
So that video that I think you were playing it was your freshman year. I think you were getting it was because you were a backup one year, then you were a 3-year starter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the year the year you're coming off the field and Saban's just all up in your grill, and he finishes it by just basically spanking you with one hit. I mean, it's hard. That was like that. I'm guessing that's the hardest anybody ever spanked you, like outside of your father. What was going on right there?
No. Listen, We grew up in an era in an area where it was nothing to get backhand from mom going down the road. 10 minutes after you made a smart ass comment, then it just re-registered with her, and then all of a sudden, bam.
I grew up in that era too. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that wasn't the hardest hit, but it's funny. I talked about it. I had to do a documentary today, film part of it, but that got brought up in it. You know, our relationship, a lot of people don't know this, but I was getting recruited by Saban himself. I'm not going to mention the name, but I didn't care for the guy that was recruiting me at Alabama during that time. And so I told Coach that, and Coach would just come down and visit himself. And so we got really close. Well, when I went on my recruitment.
When it was legal. He came and visited you when it was legal.
Yeah. When I would go up there to watch games, on every Sunday I would stay and go into his office, and it'd just be me and him, and we'd sit there and watch the game film. This is from the time I got recruited to the time I left. Every Sunday was me and him in his office back there watching the game, talking about it, talking about what they did bad on defense, and then we'd move on to the next team. And so our relationship was different. But he was pissed at me because I threw a post route to Julio Jones, and Brad Smelly was open on a deep over. And so he was pissed about that, and it just kind of boiled over because we kept driving, but we ended up stalling out, kicking a field goal, and he was just pissed the whole time. And I just remember telling him, after the game or the next day whenever we talked, I'm like, well, fuck, if you don't want me to throw that ball, don't put me in the game with Julio Jones. Simple as that. Like, we were beating the shit out of Mississippi State. You called, I think it was Dino or St. Louis, whatever the play was. It's a deep post and an over. He was one-on-one. Hell, I threw a great ball. It was the one time Julio dropped the damn ball. It would have been a touchdown, but he was pissed because Brad was wide open. But I told him, I was like, if that's the case, don't put me in there. Take Julio out, and I'll read the play. But guess what? If I see Julio one-on-one, I'm throwing it. And he was like, all right, I understand that. But he was pissed at the time.
Yeah, he was really pissed. Because I don't think I've ever seen a coach. I mean, he was taking out some frustration in that moment. He was mad as hell.
Yeah. Listen, me and Coach would go at each other. Like, it was always respectful. We always respected the hell out of each other. But I mean, there was one time my senior year, not to keep going, but real quick, tell this story. Nussmeyer and Siskey will know this. All of my OCs were terrified of Saban. All right. They never wanted to piss him off. We would get pencil whipped in practice. We would turn in our offensive play script before practice started so the defense could script their plays. So it's one of those days like you got team run and move the ball period at the end. We had been getting our ass whooped because they're scheming up every play we have. And it goes into the last period. It's a move the ball period. And Nuss calls a play. We get demolished on a passing scheme. And the next play, I'm like, screw this. So I saw the blitz coming. I changed protection, hit for an explosive play. Saban starts losing his mind. Like, gosh damn it, AJ, it's not about you. What the fuck are you doing? Just run the play that's called. So Nuss had like a raspy voice like I have right now. And Nuss came in to the huddle and was like, AJ, please, God, just run the play that I called. Like, don't change the play, okay, please. And so I always joked around and stirred shit up. So he tells us to play. So I go in the huddle and I call the play the same way Nuss calls it. So I'm like, hey, we got trips right. Jill Bama right here, okay? And so everybody's dying laughing. That pisses Saban off even more because the offense is laughing now. And we line up, and I see the blitz coming again. And I remember turning around and looking at Nuss, and Nuss is over there going, no. And what did I do? I changed the play again, and we hit him for another explosive play, and Saban loses his shit. And so that was how I got back at Coach a lot of times and would piss him off by changing our offensive plays up when they had spent all morning scheming up how to stop us. So
Lane pissed. This is after you left. Lane pissed Nick off like repeatedly. But what he would do is he wouldn't let him give out the scripts until on the practice field. So nobody had a chance to look at the scripts. And dude, same kind of stuff, man. I mean, the worst one I think I've said on here, the worst one Lane ever got was when he ran. I remember Jake was the quarterback. Lane ran a trick play in team drills, and dude, and it hit for like a huge play. And the same kind of deal. Lane was like, "Well, why does it matter when I have the scripts ready? As long as we have practice." Like Lane would always challenge This is going to shock you. I know, right?
Yeah, that's stunning.
Stunning.
After covering him for 5 years, I'm shocked that we would.
But Lane would not
just kind of challenge authority a little bit here and there.
Yeah, but he wouldn't do the scripts late, and then he ran came completely off script. I think maybe in the first day he scripted. That's exactly what it was. After he got his ass ripped for. That's exactly what it was. After he got his ass ripped for not having the scripts and then would turn them on practice. He scripted and then changed the play that was on the script to a trick play. And Jake hit one. I remember it was a long one. Jake hit. I don't remember what the play was. It maybe was a flea flicker. I don't know, some kind of something. But I remember Jake threw a long touchdown pass, and then it started over again. So yeah, that's common. We gotta get out of here, dude.
All right. Appreciate you, AJ. Thanks to everybody for listening. We'll be back with you tomorrow with another edition of McCready and Siskey.
See ya.
Total Body Fuel. Until then, take care.